wouldn't say the burden of proof primarily falls on either, but I would say that dismissing people making the case for lab leak and the kind of ad hominem attacks and calling them grifters and conspiracy theorists, I don't agree with that.
Okay, fair enough. But then, all right, so part two, follow the money. Isn't that the ancient principle of journalism?
Yes.
And it always seems as though those with the most to lose, and I mean financially, forget about prestige and all those other things, just plain old dollars and cents, those with the most to lose have the most invested interest in promoting the thesis that continues their funding, right?
Yes.
And isn't it clear? And you outlined this perfectly, that they can always use their expertise as a shibboleth to hide behind the fact that they're just simply trying to keep that income coming so they don't have to live in a neighborhood filled with super predators.
Yes. Yeah, like every group wants to protect its expertise and be effective and circle the wagons. And so, yeah, there are all sorts of professional reasons why virologists would have contempt for the lab leak hypothesis. Like, it would be really bad for them. Like, it would be if you were a virologist and it came out that the pandemic came from a lab leak. I mean, your status would plunge. Like, some people would be spat on.
Yeah. I mean, I think 5 years from now, this is just going to be a joke that it was even like an opposite case would have been considered. A non-lab leak theory would have even been considered. And the same thing goes for global warming. It's the exact same thing. Science is funded by national science grants. Or was it?
Yeah, from the government. Yeah, largely from the government.
Right. And there's so many projects tied to this global warming, hypothesis that, they've circled the wagons around this. And then this circling of the wagons is in itself seen as evidence, the famous 97%, you're threatening the process of science itself. You're not, you're threatening, the funding base of science. I don't know. It just seems really terrible that, I put in the comment in the chat, if something is incredibly small or incredibly big, that your average person can't apply their common sense to it, you can grift on it. Expertise to understand this phenomenon, it just opens the door to, grifting.
It does, but I'm also skeptical of how powerful the emotions that are developed when I think of the possibility that this was a lab leak. I mean, it feels so good. It feels so good. And it also feels so good that to think that global warming is a hoax and a conspiracy. Like, it would just justify my rage at all these, categories of people who, part of me think are playing a game and have rigged the game and have, run a giant con in their own best interests and against the public interest. Like, I just start getting filled with rage as I think about it.
So basically, what you've done is you've over-inoculated yourself, pardon the vaccine metaphor, you've over-inoculated yourself against the possibility of there ever being a conspiracy.
No, right? I just want to be aware of the emotional tug that one side has for me. Like, I get no emotional payoff if COVID turns out to have natural origins. Right? That does nothing for me emotionally. It does nothing for my show. It does nothing for my worldview. It does nothing for me. On the other hand, if COVID was from a lab leak, I could build 500 shows on that. It's just so appealing to me.
And your fear of success, your under-earning kicks in. You're saying, there's no way I'm going there. I don't want a big successful show, so I'm not going to go there.
No, I just remember the number of women that I inserted myself inside of when that really probably wasn't in either their best interests or my own. And like, I'm just dying to insert myself inside the, the lab leak hypothesis and the, global warming is a hoax hypothesis. Like, it feels so good.